Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the country and in the world. Whoops, my shirt's doing weird things. And I still not quite got my lighting right yet. It's going to get there. I've got new bulbs and things coming because I've moved, as I think I mentioned before. Could I post the code in a blog? Yes, I will, actually, Alexander. I actually was writing it about 30 minutes ago, so I haven't had time to post it yet, but I will do. There is actually a repository already for a previous version I did, but today I wanted to do a bit more, and go a bit further. Um, Malcolm says, "Good morning, all." 3 a.m. Oh yes, you keep doing this from a self-diagnosed OCD Delphi insomniac. I totally agree. To get up at 3 a.m. I sometimes wake up at 3:30 a.m. I live right in the center of Frisco now, in the Dallas region, and I think where I live, sometimes there's parties and stuff go on, and also the Dallas Cowboys rehearsal um, field, I suppose you call it. It's called the Star. It's literally down the end of the road, and they have a lot of events there. And when they do, lots of people around, lots of music, sometimes fireworks. And today we've got thunderstorms as well, just to really make life super exciting. JP's with us as usual from Lewisburg in West Virginia. JP and I were talking about why dark mode's important to us. Both of us have some conditions to do with our eyes that can affect you. I'm not going to go into too many details, but for me personally, I get these really bad floaters. I have a very strong prescription. You can't really see it on here, but I can see okay. But I get these floaters, these kind of wispy things that float around in your eyes. And for me, if I use dark mode, the problem's solved a lot more easily. I can see text a lot more clearly. I can see it in light mode as well, but it's a lot more comfortable to use dark mode. And so for me, dark mode has always been something that's very important. Um, wow. Apparently, according to Rick, Chat GPT says Ian Barker's webinar appears to be a high quality learning opportunity. Wow. Okay. Well, the pressure's on then, because I generally deliver low quality learning opportunities, but we'll see how it works. Martin says hello from Quebec as well. Quebec. Hello, Martin. Salut, my friend. I wonder if talking about salut, I wonder if uh, Patrick Prematon is on today, because I'm going to mention him in a moment as well. So yes, I mean, just to recap, for some people, um, dark mode is not just like it's cool, I like dark, it looks good. Actually, it makes a big difference if you have visual problems, or visual disturbances, or actually, disabilities or things like that. Light mode and dark mode. Some people prefer light mode for the reason that they have vision issues, and I personally, I have these vision issues, so I prefer dark mode. So I guess it's that's why there's an option. Nigel's he's here from southern England. Yes, lovely stuff. And Ron is from Pacific Northwest in USA. Yes, lovely. The Pacific Northwest. It's and Nigel says, well, see, now I've hit on a little bit of a topic here, haven't I? Nigel says he gets floaters too. I struggle with the dark mode though, because the contrast between the background and text isn't problem enough. Actually, yeah, I tweak a lot of settings. The monitor I'm talking to you on, where the camera's mounted, and if I move it around, you'll see it looks like I'm on an earthquake. This is a 2K monitor. To my right, your left, is a 3K monitor, and over here is a 1920 by 1080 monitor for doing the webinar presentations, because that's the mode that we broadcast at. And then I have a Mac that's a M4 that can do 5K or something crazy like that. But generally, I like to tweak around the settings. I do use zoomed up text. I personally prefer to have the operating system running at 100% scaling, not anything bigger, and then scale up the browser windows. That's how it works for me. But yeah, Nigel says the text isn't usually bright enough. Yeah, I totally get it. That's why I say some people prefer light mode for the better contrast. Hello, Anderson. My hero in Delphi for Brazil. I've said this several times, but Anderson Gomez, he's an MVP in Brazil, and he is the absolute hero. He gets a lot of people learning Delphi over there, and lots of students and things like that. So anyway, I'm not going to go into much further. I want to get into the content, and I've actually got to do some stuff this afternoon, including do a graphic for the big boss, which I really need to get to. Hola, muy interesante. Good. Yes, Luis Felipe Gonzalez Torres. Excellent. Ian, does it ever lead to an ocular migraine? No, Ron. Actually, I tell this is probably relevant to developers. When I was younger, and by that I mean 20 years younger, and lived in the UK, I used to do a lot of crunches. Okay, that's where a developer will do very extended periods of time, sometimes 24, 36 hours straight developing. And I've done it all. I've been there. I once worked 3 days straight without sleep because I needed to have something ready. Otherwise, a lot of people would lose their jobs. It was really as significant as that. It wasn't my fault. Someone blew something up outside, and it was a problem. And anyway, I used to push myself very hard. I'm not proud of that. I don't think there's a definite trend nowadays to say that crunches and pressure related long coding sessions like that are actually a bad idea. It's a showing off thing. It's a kind of, look at me, how cool I am because I work so long. Actually, that's not true, because there is a trade-off the longer you work in the quality that you do as well. So I definitely wouldn't recommend doing that. But during that period of time, in fact, one of them was during the 7/7 bombings over here. It was like the 9/11 for the UK, but not quite as significant in terms of injuries, but it was still bad. People died. A lot of pressure, traveling a lot, and I got ocular migraines. And it was the weirdest thing, because it was like looking through broken glass, like shattered glass. And I said to someone, well, I've been working too hard. I've strained my eyes. I thought it was an eye problem, but actually it was an ocular migraine. It was due to stress and to overwork. And yeah, I have had ocular migraines. JP's issue is something slightly different. But yeah, I think it's an issue. Pro and for and against dark mode. This is a good discussion, I think, because the presentation is going to go into some depth about how to do it. But good evening from Finland. Sometimes the dark mode causes problems, like pictures becomes negative. I'm not seeing that, but I can see how you can arrive at that problem. So yeah, I totally get where it's coming from. Mark says, hello from rainy Huddersfield. That's kind of the default setting for Huddersfield, isn't it? Rainy and cold. I'm only joking. You're installing RAD Studio 12.3. Good job. I only ask because working on the monitor can cause them for me. Here's how I solve it as a long-time developer. I've been a developer for 40 years. And I still get up and write code every day. I was writing code this morning for this demo. I prefer the room dark, but not completely black, because that's a problem. I prefer dark mode, and I do use side lighting and things like that to light things up, so I have the desk lit up. And I find that for me helps with the eyesight. I don't get RSI. I have done years ago, but I invested in a very good mechanical keyboard. I'm not quite even sure. Oh, it's a Steel Series keyboard, mechanical keyboard with very good switches. That helps with RSI. And I also use a Steel Series mouse, a gaming mouse, set to the right settings. These are all self-care things if you're a software developer. Ron says, enough, sorry to school you. It doesn't take a lot. And in fact, my wife's ringtone is a squirrel. Goes, But yeah, it's a problem. But as a software developer, and I'm actually writing a book about the job of being a software developer in general. From start to finish, based on my experience myself and also people I know. Um, Not because I have all the answers, but just because I've got the answers wrong enough to at least tell people what my experience is. You can take it or leave it. You might say, well, that's nonsense, or you might say, actually, that's useful knowledge. I tell you my experience, and if you think it's useful, great. But if not, then we'll go from there. Um, so yeah, we talked about that. We got talked about that. I only asked because working on the monitor will cause them for me. Yeah, I totally get that. Kaleidoscope, right? Yes, it was the same for me. It was like someone had broken glass, and I was looking through as what it felt like. No headache. Weird. But I literally and I had to stop work. My ex-colleagues, one of them might be on here, and Peter Turtle is an MVP. I used to work with Peter years ago, and I think he was there that day that happened. It was very frightening. I thought I was having a stroke or something like that. It was incredibly. And when I went to go and get checked out, they're like, "You've got a massively high blood pressure. You're pushing yourself too hard. You need to learn to relax. You need to learn to back away from the keyboard." And I do that now. I have two dogs. They're not with me at the moment. I'm waiting to pick them up today. But dogs and things like that, get outside. That's the only advice I can give to a software developer is do some other stuff. I don't play games ever. For me, when I sit at a keyboard, it's to work or to teach, like I'm kind of doing now. So, um, those are it works for me. I'm not saying I've got the answers. Yeah, and as Charles Stack says, yeah, migraines can knock you down for one days. My sister gets migraines, and my daughter gets migraines as well, and I know plenty of people where if they have a migraine, they're out for the day. So just, if you're a software developer, um, what I'm saying is that you should really look after yourself. It's not a joke. It's not macho to work, 3 day shifts and things like that. Sometimes you've got to do it. Especially if you're self-employed, sometimes if you've got to get something ready and you're the only one that's available, there's no alternative but to hack it out. And sometimes you're on a roll. When you're writing code, sometimes you just got to go with the flow and keep going. And to me, I can sit up from the keyboard and go, why is it dark? And I look outside and it's nighttime, and I've been coding so intently and really into it, music on and coding away, that I don't notice the time, which is why I've been divorced a few times. And it's really important to give yourself a break. DOS used to be dark mode by default, white and black. Yeah, and in fact, when I first started coding, I started in the 80s, early 80s, and I was working on Unix, and they were dumb terminals, Televideo 95, WISE, terminals, WYSE, and they were green on black or orange on black. Those are the two flavors you could get, and I don't ever remember getting any ice cream. So, I mean, the text was different, and it was all text-based in those days, using Vi, not even Vim or NeoVim, Vi, editing COBOL programs as I was back in the day. It could be a lack of minerals. Actually, no, I've had all sorts of blood checks done. No, nothing to do with it. Unfortunately, I'm as healthy as an ox when it comes to, my blood chemistry. I'm overweight. I sit on my butt all day, for a living, and don't get enough exercise. But no, it wasn't that. So yeah, all good stuff. So let's get to the real details. A couple of things. The Delphi Summit. I think it was Nigel or someone like that asked about the Delphi. Yes, Rick was saying, how is it looking for some internet coverage at the coming Delphi Summit? There's actually several coming up. In fact, next Friday, which is the last of the 30 for 30 webinars, I'm going to cover all of the events that are happening in the next 3 months that I'm aware of. And the Delphi Summit, they do stream it live. There's a ticket. There's like a streaming ticket for this. and they stream the sessions live. However, I am presenting, I think, at least 2 sessions. I'm chairing a committee, I think, or something like, I don't know, something on stage, and I'm doing a speech, a session. Um, but I am going to sit down with some of the well-known faces of Delphi. There's going to be a whole bunch of people there, and stream from the event. Little interviews and discussions about what they think is cool and all the rest of it. So we're not going to stream the sessions because that's up to GDK. It's their event, but I will be streaming live. Next week, I'm in Denmark for a week. So after the 30 for 30 webinars finish, the next day I'm on a plane off to Frankfurt and then Denmark. Then we've got all sorts of things happening. We're going to have a coding camp, boot camp in the summer with prizes, and a few other incentives as well. AI is a big thing, and we're going to try and look at what you can do with AI in your programs and also within the IDE. So lots and lots and lots of stuff coming up, and it's all very, very exciting. So there you go. Yes, as Helios says, true. Yes, it was green on amber and black. Yeah, I always liked the green on black monitors. They were very useful. Okay, so let's talk about today's topic before people go crazy and ping me and say, "Stop talking and talk about the topic." They don't get it. This is not a lecture. This is like a radio session where we talk about some subjects as well. That's where it is. There are going to be webinars in future, like there was one yesterday about security, where Martha's joining, where we'll be getting, it'll be more like the standard webinar, but these ones aren't meant for that. Okay, so producer Martha has checked in. Oh, hi, Martha. I wonder what Martha wants. That's worrying. She hasn't been in them recently. Okay, so let's talk about dark mode. Okay, what I'm going to do is share my screen. Let's go and find one, which is this one. Share screen. Producer Martha says, "Oh, nothing's wrong. I'm just checking in. If you need me, I'll be here." Good. Okay. Sorry, Martha. I thought there was going to be something hard. And Martha's kind of gone up in the world. She's a little bit more important now. She was always significant, but she's doing more things. And she always works super hard anyway, but she's been doing other things, and I've been left to get on with it a bit. So, that's cool because we've got it all organized, but it was just funny to see her turn up. Right, so let's share my screen, and I think we want the whole of the content up like this and turn me off, so to speak, like that. There you go. Okay, so we're going to talk today about dark mode. Let me just, I'm sorry about the flashing screen, but I did do one years ago, and I mean years ago. It was 2019 when I first released this system, this unit, and I wasn't even working for Embarcadero back in those days. I think I'd started editing articles and writing white papers, because I've been around longer than most of you realize, longer than just doing the developer advocacy, because it's coming up to a year and a half, 2 years now. But in those days, I was still an MVP, and I did one for the coding. What was it for? It was Code Rage 2019. There you go. And we're going to have a Code Rage again in the summer, as I said. But I did this one, and at the time, it was Rad Studio. I think it might have even been before Rad Studio 11 Athens was around. And the way that you detected dark mode, it only really worked in Windows at that point. And so you would ask, look for a registry setting, and in the registry setting, you could then say to, look at this registry value in Windows and say, is it set to this particular value? If so, then it's dark mode. Now, I'm hoping that all of you understand what I mean by dark mode. But just on the off chance that you don't know what I mean, if you go into Windows and choose Personalize, there is a theme here that it says whether you're choosing dark mode or light mode, and what colors you've got. Whether you're going to have what's the word I'm looking for? A background, background image or something like that. Okay, and the same with um, the colors. Um, I'm in dark mode, and I've got a very cool Delphi background, which you can download from the internet, by the way. There's a repo for it. If you ask me about it, I will tell you where it is. Somebody is asking questions. Even the brightest flame rests beneath the stars. Very good. Yes. So, yeah, these images are available on the internet. I've talked about them before, but the mode is dark mode. If you're not sure what that means, well, you must have lived under a rock for the last 5 or 10 years. I'm sorry about that, but you can get your system to support light mode, dark mode, and as we started talking at the beginning, some people prefer it one way or the other. Some people always have light mode, and light mode is really what the default Windows look used to be like. Nowadays, most of us who are the hip and trendy people like me, because I'm super follower of fashion and trendsetter, tend to use dark mode. Okay, I turn on a lot of other things, and also there's a thing called an accent color. What the accent color does is, if you watch this border here at the top, when I pick a color and I choose this one, you can see now that border has come up and is lit up. Why is that useful? Well, if I just go back to my screen down here and pick on the dark mode thing again, if I have a couple of windows open, you can see that the highlight color is picking out the border. So that's pretty useful. So you can see there, highlight color means that's the active window. I call it highlight color, but actually it's the accent color. Now you can set this automatically, so you can get it so that it will pick it based on your image. So let's assume that you had the standard Windows blue furly up paper type thing, the type of graphic I'm talking about. It would pick the predominant color from that background, and then automatically pick the accent color to mix in with the theme. You can change various other colors, and you can have high contrast themes. I personally have this switched on, which is show the accent color on the title bars and the Windows borders, which are here. Okay. Now we'll come back to this in a minute. For now, I'm going to leave this like this, which is how I usually have it. So the accent color is turned off. And we'll come back to this in a moment. Now, today, what I'm doing is I'm taking that original library that I talked about there, Delphi Dark Mode, and I'm modernizing it a bit, because since 2019, they have come up with, they being us, Embarcadero, they've actually added some new things. And in fact, Delphi Dark Mode was forked by quite a few people. I think this is the link for the helmets. Yeah, that won't work actually. Let me come on. Let me pull that up. It's called Mid Journey, something like that. Mid. Because otherwise you won't. Some platforms filter out the links, so I'm going to put it in here so that you can see it in the chat, and I'm also going to put caption up here. So that background image, if you like my cool background image that you see behind me there, with all those in, if you go to that link, there's a whole bunch of them. Svelte was very kind, and I did some 2K and 3K versions, and made a few others. Even this one that I'm using now is not protected. You're quite welcome to use it, and just don't claim that you did it yourself. Because other people did it, and it's AI. A lot of them are AI, but I've also done some manually myself as well. But I'll put that link up later if you need it. So there you go, and it's in the chat if you're looking at the chat window. Right, so I did this Delphi Dark Mode, and quite a few people came along and forked it. and one of them was the excellent Patrick Prematan, as you can see his name there, and he enhanced it a little bit. What he did was, if I go back into here, I think it's where was it? Hmm. Bother, he says, because I just one second. I Stark, where is it? Here it is. So he Patrick's took my code, and what he did, and very nicely credited me as well, by the way. But he tweaked it a little bit, and he added what are known as platform services. But at the time he did that, what he actually did was he put some conditional code in there. So as you can see, there's conditional compilation, and if it's Windows, he falls back to the old registry way of doing things. Okay. Now the good news is even that is slightly out of date because you don't need to do that anymore. You can actually do it the old way if you really want to, but nowadays we're at Rad Studio 12 and actually specifically 12.3. There is now a platform services enhancement. So platform services allow you to do things cross-platform. Okay, now you can just use VCL and you know do it that way, but if you're doing FireMonkey, for example, then you can use the platform services here. So here's a platform service function, and here's another one as well. So the old way of doing it would be to go into the registry, read the HKey current user, and then there's a key which is defined up here, software Microsoft Windows current version personalize. Okay, and if I was to run regedit, which I can do, um, oh, of course it's going to complain. And then I'm going to go to, what is it? Software information. Let me just choose that path. Yeah. Is it H key current user? Yeah, H key current user. Sorry. I will show up the screen in a second. So here's my registry. And what it's doing, the old way is to read this node here, and then look for these values. And so the values are quite straightforward. Really, it's a one if the app should use the light theme, and color prevalence. I'm not sure what that is actually. Enable transparency. That's the setting whether or not we have it. And then system uses light theme. It's either 0 to mean no, it's using dark mode, or it's 1 if you should be using dark mode, should be using light mode. It's actually as simple as that. It's really not that difficult to do using registry. So if you're using the VCL, then that's all you do. You can use that piece of code there, and this will work. But if you want it to go cross-platform and and anything else, um, you should do it a different way. So what I've got here is a little app, okay, and I'm going to show you what it does. First of all, let's target Windows, which we are, and I'm just going to show you what this app does. Malcolm's asking about the KSVC demo. Yes, well spotted. See, yeah, I really do need to use a different version of Delphi so that you can't see the apps I open. Yes, here's his question, which is, I see the KSVC demo for 12.3 in your IDE. Any updates to share? Yes, I can indeed tell you. And this is breaking news for those of you that are uh, watching this live. You're going to know this before everybody because we haven't got round to doing the announcement yet. But da, 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 the bonus Canopka controls version 8 is now available by GetIt. So if you've got GetIt and you've got the paid version of Rad Studio, you can go down to tools, GetIt package manager, just type in KSVC like I have there, and you can install that, the KSVC version 8. That's breaking news for you. And was it worth getting up at 3 a.m. to see it? I think it probably was, wasn't it? The reason I had that open is there's a little bit of a bug in the demo, which Ray's fixed since then, and we'll be pushing out. But a lot of people are off at the moment because it is, in some parts of the world, people are celebrating Easter. And I, as you know, work 24/7, 365. So I'm not. I'm working on what is effectively Good Friday. But yes, lots of new changes, lots of really cool graphics, high DPI. There's a massive list of updates, fixes, and changes. We're going to do a blog post about it, and it will tell you what it does. But anyway, back to that. Oh, and by the way, it supports theming as well, just in case you were not sure. It just put a little QR code up in there. So whilst we're at it as well, by the way, the big boss has got uh, a blog post out, which is you can choose the name for the next version of Delphi. As you know, we've been using Greek names, and 12 is Athens, and we have settled onto new names. So if you scan that QR code and go there, you'll read a post by Atanas Popov, who is our president of Idera. Code Tools, I think, is division. I'm not quite sure of his title, but anyway, he's the boss. That's all I know. Super big boss. But go there, and there's an article, and you can vote. There's a link there where you can vote for the next name of Rad Studio. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You should read his article, but scan that, you'll see. Anyway, so back to dark mode and light mode. So it's not. Charlie Heap says that KSVC 8 was on GetIt a few days ago. It is still there. I don't. There's no reason why it's been removed. We are updating it. There's a little bug in the demo, but it should still be there. I don't know why you're not seeing it. Perhaps they changed something. It's available for 12.3 for sure. Right, so dark mode and light mode. Let's just run this app and see what it does. Okay, so I'm going to hit F9, and then I'm going to show you what the code does, and then we'll show you it cross-platform. We don't need registry open either. So here's the app, and what does it do? Well, you've probably seen this app before. What it does is it's a calendar app. It didn't take me long to fiddle around with, but basically it is straightforward. It's using the calendar control here. It is an FMX app, and if I do this, then you can see that it will actually change mode, change from dark mode to light mode, and so on and so forth. What you'll notice here is this color. Do you remember I showed you the appearance earlier on? Okay, in there at the moment I have this color. If I go back and pick red like we did here, okay, I'm going to take a few seconds. Close the app. Close the app. There you go. And then run it again. And the reason is that I'm not trapping the message at the moment. I'll talk about that in a moment. Run the app again. And now you'll see it's picked up that color. Okay. Now this is a significant difference. Okay. The significant difference is that it's now being able to work out what the accent color is. Remember this border around the images, border around the windows. Sorry, I got a text message from my wife and that distracted me. And that's literally the color. And all I've done is this is a color button. Now, how do I do that? Well, I'll show you how I do it. First of all, I'm going to, where can I have the demo, please? I'm going to upload it shortly. I wrote it literally this morning. But let me just turn this QR code off for a moment. What I'm going to do is show you that it not only is it working on Windows, but if I click this, now this is silent. Don't worry, it's not broken. This is how it works. Okay, so I'm just going to go back. So what you saw there, just to be clear, was this app running on the Mac, and you'll notice that all the functionality. Charlie says it's not there for 12.3 as of now. Well, I beg to differ. I wonder if it's because I've got it installed already. Are you typing in KSVC, Charlie? Could be there. Okay, I'll find out about that. It's definitely available, and we're about to do a blog post talking about it. It could be that they're, like I say, they're fiddling with it and fixing something. Anyway, as you saw, the same app that works under Windows also works perfectly normally under the Mac. And actually, there's virtually no differences. It looks the same, it behaves the same. The only difference are where it's important to have a difference, which is how these menus here work. On the Mac, they look slightly differently. Also on the Mac, these buttons here are over there, and this part is over here, and any menus, which I don't have in this app, but any menus will be up the top. That's the difference with the Mac. So works identically. So let's have a quick look and see how we do that. So let's just analyze what this app is doing. First of all, I'm going to hide that vote now button again, but scan it at some point and go to our site. If you go to blogs.embarcadero.com, you'll be able to see it directly. Okay, so the structure of this app is that I've got a calendar control. Oops, help if I click on the right screen. So I've got a calendar control there. Okay, and it literally is, if I go into here, I mean, you'll see it pop up if I hover over it, but it's a T, I think, let's see. Yeah, so it's one of these, it's a T calendar. And I've got 2 style books because this is FireMonkey, but you could do this just as easily with the VCL as well. And yeah, they're saying that KSVC is not there. Oh, okay, all right. Well, I'll find out what's happening. It's not a secret. It has been released. We just haven't done the blog post yet. So I've got 2 style books. I've also on there got a panel, and the panel is just to act like a toolbar, I suppose, at the top. And then on that panel, I've got a button, a color button, which is how I managed to get this color going. And the color button just allows you to pick other colors, but I wasn't doing that. And then a combo box that allows me to have the theme up. What's in the combo box? Well, I have got literally this, which is a system mode, dark mode, and light mode. I set it to be the default, which is system mode. Okay, that's the very first entry in the combo box. Looking through the code, there's only four events in there and one additional method. So let's look at what happens. Well, when the app starts, it sets the combo box to be the theme mode that we stored, whether we should use dark mode. And I do that by having a little enumeration here, which matches the entries in the combo box. It's not the best way to do it, but I was hammering away the code quickly this morning to get this done. It comes back, and the result is a T theme mode, which is that enumeration there. And so that's what it does when it starts up. Okay, let's just go back to so it sets the combo box based on the ordinal value, the position of the T color thing that I created earlier on in there. Close this for a second. This. So 0, 1, 2. I then look to see what the theme is. So as the form has been created, I look at what that combo box is, and then if it is forced to be dark mode, so it's the second entry in the combo box, sorry, the first entry in the combo box, which is dark style. If dark mode is enabled on the system, then it sets it to dark style. If the dark mode is not enabled on the system, so Windows or Mac, then it will set it to light mode. If it's the second option, and I could have done a case statement with I didn't catch this trick actually. I should have done this, but in my demo. But I could have done a case statement on the ordinal value and said, well, if it's dark style, then it will set the dark style. Otherwise, if it's none of the above, then it will default to light style, because it means that you haven't picked any options from that combo box that would be anything else. So system mode means find out and ask the system what it is. Is the system, is Windows or Mac running in dark mode or light mode? If not, have I overridden it to be in dark mode? And if not, have I overridden it to be in light mode? And that's what that code does. Okay. And again, that's in the crate. The other thing I do is I load the last form location. Now, the reason I do that is if I show you that my screen looks like this will freak you out. I've got a 4K monitor, a 2K monitor, and a 1920 by 1080p, so a 1080p monitor set up. My main monitor is this one, the one that I'm circling. And by default, the way that the apps will load is that if I run Rad Studio, which is running not on the main monitor, it's going to want to run the app on there because of the way that Windows is set up. So I have my taskbar on this one and not on these ones. And so by default, it's going to come up on the monitor, which is the wrong one for the demo, because I'm showing you at the moment, the monitor that I've got active here is this one, number 2. So what I do is I restore the form location, okay? And I've got a little helper that does that, okay? So I use a thing called a form helper, which is one of the more modern Delphi things that you get. And it's a class helper for tform. Okay, so tform is the type of form that I have. And remember, this is FireMonkey, so it works with FireMonkey, but the same class helper would actually work with VCL. You would just have forms in here, not VCL.forms, not FMX.forms. Okay. And the class helper's got a couple of little methods in there. One of them is it saves the form location. And the way it does that is it opens an ini file and it stores the left and top values of the form. Okay, it uses this method here to work out where the ini file is. And because we're using FireMonkey, I'm using tpath. I'm getting the home path, which will work on the Mac as much as it will work on Windows as well. You'll get the right path automatically. You don't need to put in // or / users / home or on the Mac or whatever the path is. It will work it out for you and get the right path. Then I get the directory separator character, which on DOS or Windows is a / and on the Mac is a /. So there are different slashes, but again, the tpath will work out which one it is automatically. Gets the name of where I want to store the folder, and I've got that by getting the name of the executable that's running, which again works on the Mac, and the directory separator character, and then some settings. And so to cut a long story short, what it does is I get a file name, and when the program closes, I store where the form was last time I used it, as it's closing. And when I start the form up again, when I run the app the next time, it retrieves back the settings that I stored when I closed. And so it will make the form appear in the same place again. So if I just run it for a second on this machine, where is it? Oh, yeah. So if I move this up here, for example, by default, Windows is going to put it down there normally. So I'm going to close this. Rad Studio comes back again, and now when I hit it again and press F9, you'll notice that it's going to appear here. Ba-bum, exactly where it is. So that's what the form load and form saving class helper does. Okay. But that's not the only trickery that's going on in the background, because the one that you're really interested in, because obviously that's what the theme of this webinar is how I set the theme. So as we said before, it's either the combo box or we're checking whether Windows or Mac is in dark mode. Now, The old way of doing it was the way that you use this registry key. Okay. The new way of doing it, I'm just going to swap to the Mac first. Swap over to targeting the Mac for a second. So my Mac is an actual Windows um, ARM. It'll redraw in a second. Come on, you can do it. What have I done? Oh, see, that's what happens when you do too many things at once. I broke my code. Oh no. I was editing this literally before we started. Let me just go back into here and say, um, so let me just say, um, yes, whoops, yeah, that should mean that that should compile. Why are you not working? What have I done wrong? See, never ever. Oh, see, I forgot this one as well. Live coding, people. I I what? Yeah, okay. Which is not define Windows. Okay, maybe I've done something wrong. Uh, repainting. That's a problem. Okay, well, it should it should have repainted this. I'm not quite sure why it hasn't. Let me close this for a second. Delphi dark mode. Not define MS Windows, which it isn't. Ooh. Okay, that's not good. Something weird's going on there. So these platform services, these are the things that we're interested in. Okay, I'm just going to make them visible by doing this for a second. So what the Mac version does, and in fact this will work with Windows as well, um, the platform services takes all the effort out of it. Robert Alderton says your Bill Gates moment. Yes, heads will roll. Actually, I think it's something I've done. To be fair with the unit, I've done something really stupid. As I said, I hacked this together this morning whilst I was getting stuff ready. So I don't know what I've done, but I've broken something. But anyway, on the platform services, it takes all of that pain out of having to do the registry thing. Okay. And so, yeah, I bet it's this, isn't it? Yeah, there's something else there. Yeah. So what happens is that the platform services goes off and it it uh, checks to see if the platform we're on, Windows or Mac, supports this system appearance service, okay, which is an interface here. And if it does, then what it does is it checks um, the theme kind and says, is because this is the service, is the theme kind um, system theme kind dark? If it is, then it will set it as dark mode. So it does all of the lookups for you automatically. You don't have to worry about registry settings or anything like that. It does it all for you. And you can still use this VCL code on Windows, but you can't. It won't work. It's not going to be any use whatsoever on the Mac. So with the Mac, you need to do it. I don't know why that's not highlighted properly. Oh, I've clearly broken something significant here. I don't know why. What have I done? If defined, if not defined Windows. Thinks this unit is Windows. Yeah. Well, hey, you saw it working. That's the important thing. I had it working. Oh, before I upload the code, I'll find out what on earth I did. So the other thing that we do in the setting in the code is we call this method, and what this does gets the accent color. This also uses platform services. Okay, and it goes to the platform service, and there's a little property there called accent color. Okay, which is in this interface here. It's an alpha color, so it does support alpha blending and multiple billions of colors or whatever. But it'll come back with like cerise or red or whatever. But it's a property. And so in order to get that on the computer and let that button up, I just ask it, well, hey, do you support this appearance service? Yes, you do. Windows and Mac both do. In which case, then I get return the accent color from that system appearance, that property that I just talked about there, which in my case is set to that weird red. So what we're linking back to is this thing here. Oh, not this. It's personalize. What we're linking back to is that color there, that theme color. And when I run the app, the button should return itself as being red. So let's try doing that just to prove me wrong and see if I did break something in the code somewhere. No, should link. Yep, there you go. See, working well. I don't know what I did. It's done something very strange in the code. So there's the red. And there is a bit of a penalty in checking these values, but actually nowadays, really, you don't have much option. You've got to do these things in order to look like you belong on Windows and belong on the Mac. If you're not, ordinarily what I would do is once I've got this accent color, then I would change some values on here to highlight certain things. But I'm just making that box visible so you can see what it is. Ian, go into the history tab and select the date and time of the last one. No, I'm not doing that. I probably have to do some other things as well. But it's working on the Mac for sure. I showed you the video. But the accent color, yes, it gets it from the system services. And so, it is universal. It does work on iOS as well. If the operating system you're using doesn't support it, then the code's just going to come back and say, no, I don't do the platform services. You do need to have a default color for that accent color if you're going to use it, because not all versions of Windows support it. If you're using a very old version of Windows, and by very old I mean Windows 7, then some of these settings are not going to work. Because really they only came into the fore for Windows 10 and definitely Windows 11. So things like this accent color and whether it's transparent or rest of it. But those platform services are extremely useful, and they do. It is the modern way of doing it, and your code should be using that methodology to get the value. So as we said here, this is the kind of abbreviated way of using the platform services. So ignore all the code here, which is all conditional compilation. Really, the long and the short of it is pretty much the same. It's not difficult at all. So if you were just trying to find out whether it's dark mode or light mode, if I go here, and I'm going to put this code up here where we can see it. The minimum code that you would get to check whether it's dark mode or not is that there. Okay. Now, obviously, it's going to show me an error at the moment because I'm just pasting it into a different unit. But that's it. That line there will tell you whether your system is dark or not. Now, I recommend you go and look at the T platform services on. Could use T-bar combine. Yeah, I could actually. I tend not to do that. I don't know why. This is what Jeff said. Yeah, I'm on the fence about T-bar combine. There's no reason why you shouldn't use it. It's just that I am in the habit of doing it the hard way. I do like T-path. I do like T-directory and all the others as well. But T-path combine is one of those things where I always forget about it existing and do it the hard way. For those of you that don't know, T-path combine, what it does is basically just does that hard coded add a bunch of paths together for the ini file. Where was the name? Up here. Yeah, here. Instead of having these things in, you can just say T-path combine. You provide it a load of elements of the path, and it'll automatically put the slashes in and everything for you. So I didn't do that because that's me. I'm just like that. Okay, so that's really the long and the short of it. It's not difficult to do, and really the only other thing that we do in here is, which is a little bit dynamic, is in FireMonkey we have two style books. Okay, move the comment above it. And if I'm not going to fix it. I'll do a look at it later. I mean, I can sit there for hours and fiddle it. All I can say is it definitely works. Okay, because you saw the video. The style books, for those of you that are not sure, you just go into here, you double click on it, and then you go into here and say open, and then you will point it at your, I think it is like public documents or something like that, styles, and you pick the style in there. Once you pick the style, it will give you all the style elements down the side here, and then as soon as you close it, it will store it back in here. They're stored on FireMonkey. They're kind of loaded with bitmaps and things like that, but it gives you this pretty look, this dark mode and light mode. There is a lot of arguments about which one is the right one. Charcoal gives you a very dark the charcoal style gives you a very dark theme, which mostly matches what people would think of as a Windows dark mode. I've chosen one here that's called Impressive Dark, I think, or something like that. So it is dark, but it's blue. And the reason was I just wanted these slight differences between the rows here. The light style, I think, is just a regular Windows light or something like that. And then for the Mac, I think it's Mac light. I do have on another version, I actually have a different theme for the Mac, but it works Mac or Windows, and that's it. It's pretty good. Now, where can you get those themes from? Well, if you're not sure, if you go into here and then just click on styles down here. Oops, let me do it on the right screen here. Down here are all the different styles that are available. And you can, the ones that work that say VCL are obviously VCL only, so Windows only, and the ones that say FMX are multi-platform, so they work under Windows, Mac, Linux, iOS, and Android as well. And the code that I showed today will work on any of them. Now, if you are a Windows only person and you want to do it the hard way, or at least the less complicated way, then go to checkdigits.com, github.com/checkdigits Delphi dark mode, which is my original repository with the dark mode code in there. And there's an example that definitely works on there, and also the example code that shows you how to do the change in the themes. Now, what this does, this version of the app, actually does it dynamically. So it looks for you can say to it, I want to set a very specific theme for dark mode. So you can have dynamic themes loaded that you load into your app. So you have them stored as a repository or something like that. You load them in, and then you offer the user the ability to pick which style they want out of all the other styles available, which style they want for dark mode, which style they want for light mode, store them, and then you can actually specifically go and use this code to pick the user's choice of dark mode theme or style, if dark mode's enabled, and pick the user's choice of light mode theme if you're in light mode. That is pretty powerful. That's why there's been quite a few people fork this and star it, but go into there. Like I say, my repo is github.com/checkdigits/Delphi dark mode, but you can't miss it. I'm going to do a blog post with this in, It's probably going to be on learndelphi.org, because I'm going to move some of the lessons and tutorials on there, and the example code will be uploaded as well. I will check and done one and find out what I've done. Just Jeff said, I think it's probably just moving the comment above one thing or other. Yeah, I was fiddling around with it. I broke it. It happens. But the actual app, it definitely works, as you can see. And if you, like I say, if you're looking for dark mode and light mode themes, you want to support them, then just go into there and pick styles, and there's loads and loads of them. If you're using the CE version, there are a few in there. But if you're using professional and enterprise upwards, then there's a whole bunch of them in there. The newest ones are the ones that say impressive darks. I think this one. Oops. Helps away. Type impressive. So the newer versions are Windows 11 Impressive Dark, Windows 11 Impressive Light for VCL, and then the same thing for FireMonkey. Those are absolutely bang on the most recent ones. I think this is an Impressive Dark one that I've loaded in here. That's it. It's as simple as that. So let me go back to me and my face, so to speak. Let's just answer some of the questions that we've got. So, as JP pointed out, and as I completely concur as well, if you care about looking professional and you want to make your apps look like they belong in this decade, at the very least, then I would say that you should definitely support styles. Styles are a very, very easy way of making your app look like you've got a graphic design team behind you, because we've paid the people there a ton of money to design those for us. And you know, they're a very quick and easy way of making your app look impressive. They take a little bit of getting used to, because you've got to, you know, you might have hard coded some colors in your app and not known about it, and then you apply a theme and you're like, why does that look wrong? Why is the style making it look wrong? But it's possibly because you've hard coded some colors of your own and not realized it. If you trust the styles, then it'll work fine. With this code or the other repository that I showed you, you can definitely support dark mode like that straight off the bat. It's not difficult, and in fact, it's so easy to do. There's actually not a lot of excuse for not doing it, really. Now, I don't know, I'd be mean, but you know, I will be mean. And there are some other things available as well. There are some things like the T-task dialog, which is a Windows-only dialog, is not styled, and the reason is it's a problem with Windows. The way that we implemented it, we being Embarcadero, we actually encapsulate the API, the Windows API, and we do some stuff with it, and it doesn't theme. So if you've got like a green theme or something like that, then it looks out of place. There are some repositories out there that will do it. Athea Dev, which is a really good set of controls. I'm just going to pull that up and then I'll share it with you over here. So let me just share my screen again. I'll show you the Athea Dev ones, because I love their stuff. Their stuff is pretty cool. So this is the Athea Dev style components here. Oops, here. And hopefully you can see that. They style all sorts of dialogues. They have their own version of the T-task dialog. So they do style buttons and all sorts like that. Some very cool graphics and things like that. As far as I'm aware, it's open source and free to use. It supports 12.3, and they talk about a lot about it. So you can go completely, you know, and use this instead of the standard controls. because you've got the open source, I think that's a good thing, because that way, if something goes horribly wrong, then you've still got the source that you can do something about it. But yeah, there's a lot out there. There's the other thing is the fluid UI components that I've talked about before. The fluent UI components will give you all that kind of transparent background and stuff like that. I actually have got demos of making the background transparent anyway. I've done it in a previous webinar in this Web 30 for 30 series. I can't remember which one it was, but you can make parts of your theme, your form transparent, or you can make it look like glass or perspex or whatever you want to call it, and all that stuff as well. So it's a lot of things you do. The short, long and the short of it really is there's nothing you can't do with Delphi. And there's such a lot of stuff out there, it's interesting. Roberts, there's a couple of people talking about AI in there, and we're actually going to discuss this. We're having a coding camp, as I said, in summer about AI, but we're going to do a lot more AI things once I've finished doing the 30 for 30 series about AI, how to put AI in your own products, how to drive the Rad Studio with AI. TMS have got some very interesting AI components and a whole bunch of stuff in GetIt as well. And yeah, as Robert says, it'll be interesting to measure the code quality of AI tools. Yeah. Now, that's one of the problems with AI is, humans humans are very good at lying. But AI is very convincing liar, because what you can get sometimes with AI is code, a lot of code, big chunk of code that looks very plausible, and it looks like it does the job. And it's only till you start to use it, you go, "Oh, this is a load of rubbish. It's not working." And or there's a little tiny, tiny little problem in the AI code because it's hallucinated. That's one of the words for it, and it's come up with a method or something that doesn't exist, and that happens quite a lot. It doesn't just happen to Delphi code, but it happens to C++ and C# and Python code. It literally hallucinates, makes stuff up. So yeah, a scanner like Scanner. Well done, Rick. Are they paying you to mention them? But Scanner, who were on the webinar yesterday, are able to spot things like that, where they say this is a really poor idea to do it this particular way. So yeah, I think it's all joining up now, isn't it? All the webinars are gradually joining up together. So yeah, AI makes me the programmer I hate. Yeah, well, my experience of AI, I say this often, and I'm going to keep saying it until the world changes a bit. I'm an optimistic skeptic. In that I am optimistic that AI is going to be a world-changing thing, because it really is starting to make changes happen. However, I'm skeptical that it's as good as lots of people are claiming. Now, the reason is there's a lot of money being invested into AI. Lots of people opening businesses based on AI. And anytime there's a big chunk of money barreling behind a project, there's a good thing and a bad thing that happens. The good thing is people have got almost unlimited financial resources to make the AI happen. That's great. So OpenAI getting such a load of money from Microsoft, like 6.5 billion or something like that, it means that they can afford to make it work. But the downside of that is that anytime money is involved, it all goes horribly wrong, because there's suddenly patience wears thin. If you put in $6.5 billion into a project, you start saying, where's my return? Where's the results of my investment? I put in $6.5 billion into this project. I better see something good come out of it. And so I think that's a problem there, is that the AI has got to succeed because people are putting the money backing it. And if you had a way of making sure that in you backed a horse in a horse race, that if the horse started to look like it was stumbling a bit, you would go, hurry up, come on, and try and lift it up. And that's the thing with AI, is that I suspect that there's going to be a lot of pressure for people to come back with a return on investment. It's not good enough for them to have iterative changes where it does a little bit better than it did before, but it's still bad. And so that's why I'm skeptical. I think that if you put that much money and billions of dollars into it, then I think there's going to be a problem. So yeah, it's interesting stuff. JP says T platform services seems to be for only fire market. Yes, as I said, with the VCL stuff, you don't need to do it that way, because VCL is Windows only, so you don't have to worry about it. But the FMX app is going to target Windows and everything else, and so you can actually do it that way. Ron says, on a different subject, I'm finally starting to play with creating Android apps. Would really like to create an Android Auto app. Not finding much info out there to do so. Actually, and it says here, like, could that be a future webinar subject? My car supports Android Auto, and I'm thinking that wouldn't be a bad idea for a topic, because what we need to do it's Android. It doesn't seem like it'd be a major problem. On Tuesday, we're going to try and do some stuff with an Android watch. However, I've discovered that my version of the Android watch I've got doesn't support the ability to upload custom apps to it, even under developer mode. There's some weirdness going on with it. I don't know. I chose a Samsung one, but yes, it's a good idea. I'd like to look at Android Auto, so I'll come back to that. And just a thought. It was a good thought, Ron, because I'd like to look at Android Auto. I'm really keen to make Android Auto look like because I'm such a Star Trek nerd. I'd like it to look like a Star Trek Enterprise dashboard. I don't think you can go that far. I think each app is individually, has to fit in within some guidelines. But wouldn't it be cool to have a Star Trek communicator come up instead of your standard Android Auto phone app? I don't know whether it'd be even possible, but it'd be quite fun, wouldn't it? Okay, all right. Well, I have to disappear and go and do some other things as well. If you haven't already, then please go and consider going to the Delphi Summit. And probably just more important as well, if you go to our blog right now, there is a competition on, well, not a competition, a vote. And that is to decide on the name of the next major version of RAD Studio. So as you know, RAD Studio 12 is Athens. Go to the blog and you'll find out we've got an option of 2 different choices. Go there, and it will offer you the ability to choose the next version of RAD Studio's name. And it's the big boss. It's the president of the code development tools division. He's the president. He's the boss, and that's his article. But go there and read it and have a vote. All you need to do is choose one name or the other. We don't capture your name. We don't capture your email or anything. We just let you pick. We wanted the public to have a say in it so that you get it. And if you haven't done so already, if you're watching on YouTube or LinkedIn, click on the like and subscribe button, preferably subscribe. I'm not too worried about the likes, but subscribe button, so that the next time I do a webinar, it will alert you and give you a ping. I won't know who you are, and I won't even know. I'll know roughly what country you're in because it gives me aggregate numbers, but I have no idea who you are. I don't get your email or anything like that. But what will happen is that YouTube, not me, YouTube will alert you when we go live. And that's a cool thing, because after next week, which are the last 2 webinars in the 30 for 30 webinar series, after this following week, we are not going to be weekly anymore for a while, because I'm traveling around. I'm going to Denmark for a week. I'm going to be at the Denmark user group, and then we've got lots of other things. We've got coding boot camp, and we've got the Delphi Summit, which you can read about as well, and a few other things as well. There are a few bits and bobs happening as well. For example, there's a competition with a prize of I think $500 US, and go to this link here, the Minesweeper link, and it's to design a game like Minesweeper. It's from one of our MVPs who's organised it, Darren Miller, ideasawaken.com. But just go there and have a read, and you know, if you're into coding, why not? You know, you got a chance to win. I think, by the way, it's nothing to do with Embarcadero. It's all down to Darren and his people, but I think it's sponsored. But why not? You know, develop a new version of Minesweeper in Delphi. And whilst we're on the subject as well, talking about AI, GDK are touring around the world at the moment, doing some AI training. So if you're interested in AI, they are going to do one in the US at some point, but we're going to be doing that. But this is theirs. They're training out in Europe, you know, various places around there. That's it. And so, like I said, last 2 webinars coming up next week. It's been epic, and boy, I am 100% burnt out. I will talk to you all on Tuesday. Everybody saying thank you. I appreciate it. All the people that turn up regularly, I really do appreciate it. Especially Malcolm, who's up at 3:30 a.m. You're completely crazy, Malcolm, but it's good. What about the CL button text options for selecting colors? Do they change with the system theme? Actually, Jeff, if you look at the articles, you'll see there's a bit where you can actually call a theming service with that value, the CL window button text, and it will come back and tell you what color it is, because it localizes those different colors. But in the Delphi dark mode, Windows dark mode one, I do actually do that. Francis says thanks. Okay, I am pleased that everybody's here. A super rad Delphi with AI. Yes, that's exactly what we're going to be doing, Rick. Yeah. All right, I'm going to go, and I will see you all again this time on Tuesday. Until then, have fun, and if you celebrate Easter, have a happy Easter. And if you're British, I miss Easter eggs, and that's one of the things I get when I go back to UK. I don't actually eat a lot of candy or sweets, shall I say. But Easter eggs in the UK, they're different to the ones in the United States. It's not the same. But I don't actually eat that much anymore of candy, but yeah, that's one of the things I remember. But I hope you all stay healthy, peaceful, and well, and I'll see you again on Tuesday. Bye.